Hi everybody, it's Mark again. This is video 2 from a suite of videos we're creating to answer questions that were asked during the recent Employer Branding Live 2024 events we did in Melbourne and Sydney. I've got a couple of really great questions relating to survey fatigue and engaging employees, but also asking the right questions of employees when we're trying to create employer branding content. So I thought I'd put them together. The first thing I want to say related to this stuff is it's super important if you're going to engage employees or candidates or others for that matter to figure out actually what problems you're trying to solve. What are you actually trying to achieve here? If you do this stuff right, especially if you're talking to employees, you can kill lots of birds with one stone. You can capture great insights about how to improve your organization as a place to work and as a culture that performs and that wins. You can also capture great quotes and content that you can use when you're going out attracting talent, or that you can use to celebrate people and connection internally. And of course, most importantly in all these things, if you engage people in the right way, the experience of going through it can actually drive greater advocacy. So asking people to help you by sharing information, by sharing ideas and perspectives on how you can improve as a place to work and how you can better tell your story when you're bringing the right people into the organization. Usually when you ask in that way, people will respond, versus just saying, we need to do a video or a written story, can you do an interview for us? So let's go with the first question. Survey fatigue is a real thing in our large organization. What are ways to engage employees to listen to their opinions and feedback without a survey? This is so common, especially in larger organizations. What I hear a lot is still organizations, and we see this more in the SMEs, but a lot of organizations still just doing one annual survey a year. I think there's a huge role to play for a survey like that, but in and of itself, if you just do that, I'd say it can actually do more harm than good. Capturing just somebody's feedback at one moment in time, once a year, in an anonymous survey that many people won't believe is anonymous. Quite often those quantitative surveys will pose more questions than they answer. That's a good thing, but you do need to follow it up with more stuff. So I think again, with insight capture, you take a much more holistic strategic view and say, what are we actually trying to do here? If, like me in my own business, you are always trying to think about how can we improve the employee experience and the culture and the talent offer so that we can, ensure our people thrive and perform well and stay well, and so that we can attract the great talent, here's what I'd focus on. The first thing I would do is I would create working groups of employees. You can call it advocacy groups or champions. You can call it, positive critics, whatever you want to call it. But the idea is you bring together employees of all shapes and sizes, all durations, all tenures, all types of roles and levels, and you create a safe space where they are not only encouraged, but expected to share positively, constructively, but honestly about how you can improve this organization. What is going on? What is the vibe on the floor, on the ground, in the warehouse, in the workshop, in the office? What is people's experience there? And what ideas and perspectives they have about how that can be improved. You don't make that a venting chamber. You don't make it a drink the Kool-Aid and only say nice things. You encourage really constructive dialogue. And I cannot begin to tell you how powerful that is. Again, capture insights. You'll also capture stories about the good stuff. You'll also ensure those people feel more engaged and they'll realize they're of consequence and will want to help more. Another thing I'd do is I'd really think about stay interviews. You've probably heard about these, but everybody does, or lots of people do exit interviews. Again, can be very powerful and useful, but in and of themselves, they're pretty dangerous. Quite often that person will not tell you the truth, or they will focus on the negative and burn all their bridges while they're leaving you. It is important to capture those people who are exiting and their perspectives, but I would argue, what about having the people who are staying? Not just as an initiative, but embedding this in your performance management plans, in your appraisals and review processes. So focus not only on how the employee is doing, but how are we doing for you? How are we going on enabling an environment where you can thrive and empowering you to perform? That can really help. Another one is entry interviews. And a lot of people tell me they haven't heard of this, but I think it's really powerful. When somebody's been with you maybe 3 weeks, maybe 5, 6 weeks, engage with them, meet with them, and you can capture so much there. They're still fresh enough that you can capture their experience as a candidate. You can capture their perceptions. Why did they apply in the first place? What hesitations did they have? Who else did they look at? How close were they to taking something else? What made the difference? All of those things. You can also capture what their perspectives are now that they're here. How did the reality match the expectations and the promise that we made? I'll always say to people, when you're brand new, a lot of people will say, oh, well, I'm new, so I haven't got much to add, or I don't know really. I always say your eyes are the keenest and sharpest, so now's the time we need to grab hold of that. So I think that's really, really powerful. When we are uncovering an EVP, an employee value proposition, we absolutely analyse any survey data you have. We'll analyse data from the things we've talked about. We actually absolutely look at your employee performance data and tenure and so on, and engagement scores. And of course, by the way, if you do the pulse surveys, the ongoing stuff, that can be really powerful too. But we find that to really uncover an EVP, the qualitative primary research really works best. So one-to-one interviews, discovery groups and sessions, focus groups, but not to make people feel like lab rats or people you're studying, but just organic, authentic conversations. We tie all of that in together with the quantitative data and other data we have, with a desk review, with a brand in market review. And we use all of those data points to capture the essence of what this organisation is, to understand your talent offer as it is expressed, but also how it's experienced. And not only to look at who you are and what you offer today, but what could you be and what could you offer. Last piece of advice I'll give you when you're capturing that data and when you're turning that into an EVP is don't just think about the tangible offer, and don't just get carried away too much with culture and opportunity. Combine the two, intrinsic and extrinsic benefits together. And don't forget the journey you're on, because the journey you're on is a huge attraction factor for the right talent. What problems can I help you solve? How can I make this organisation better? Very quickly, the last question I wanted to include here was, what are some good questions to ask to attract great stories from people? Again, have a think about this. Are you going out just to interview them for a story, or are you going out to capture insights and how you can improve and to capture great stuff? Once you know that, let's say it is just to capture great content, have a think about what that content's going to be used for. Is it going to be used in your job ads? Maybe it's going to be used on a banner image at the top of your job ad as a quote. Maybe you're going to write a story about them. Maybe you're going to ask 5-10 people the same questions so that you can create some themed content. Either way, some of the key questions I would focus on is really who that person is, who that human is, where they've come from, what brought them to you, why are they here, and why is it synced for them? Too much content I see out there is a day in the life and about the job. There is a place for that stuff, but if you really want to win hearts and minds, get people engaging with you, the best route is through the real stories of your real people. So ask them honestly about their perspectives, ask them about their ideas about how you can improve. Get them to share the warts and all, not just the really great stuff, but the challenging stuff as well. One of the key questions I'll ask is, what advice would you give somebody who's considering joining us? And there's a tendency always to go, I'd say jump right in and join us. I mean, that's wonderful, but I'm looking for more. I'm saying, look, you really need to come here curious, wanting to change things, or be prepared to work hard. This is not for the faint-hearted. I want that real stuff. That will land well with candidates and potential candidates who will respect you for your honesty and who will engage and believe in the employee's voice much more than you as an organisation. Another thing I'd really focus on with that employee is the second question, the follow-up question. So quite often, whether you're capturing insights for an EVP or to understand engagement and connection, or whether you're creating stories, you'll say something like, what do you love most? And almost always they'll probably say, it's the people. I love the people and the culture. Follow it up with a more detailed question. What do you mean about culture? When you say we've got a great culture, what does that look like? What does it feel like to win here, to lose here, to struggle? Those are some of the key questions that will unlock the real gold. Again, either to help you craft that EVP and development narrative, or to help you build stories that matter. I am immensely biased given what we do for a living, but I want to say this. You can do this yourself. You can ask questions, you can find out, and you can get some great answers. But if you can, seek out a decent employer branding partner, a specialist in this space with experience. Yes, time to help save you time, but much more importantly, the expertise and the insights and the objectivity to help you capture the real story of who you are. It will absolutely drive ROI time and time again. So I hope that's useful. I'll be back again with a third video answering some of the other questions you have. Comment below with any thoughts you have and any further questions. Thank you.